Hi, and welcome to freshmind.com. My name is Eric, and we are continuing on with our DVD drawer tutorial. We need to texture the DVD sleeves and the DVDs themselves. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and open up our drawer. So I'm going to select the control curve, select door, middle mouse drag to open that, or actually not the drawer, but the tray. Open that up. I'm going to come in here and select a sleeve. We're going to go ahead and map the UVs for it. So show, isolate selected, view selected, just so we can select it either. Hit F to frame in on it. I'm going to line it up with the camera the best I can. Create UVs, planar mapping, options box, and I'm going to select project from camera. Click project. Alright, that's done. Let's actually do this. Let's go into GIMP and we will create a texture for the back. One texture that will be for the back and the front. So we need to cut this in half. So I'm going to select an edge here. All the way around, so we can cut it there, and we also need to cut in all the holes. And I don't see a center edge. Okay, let's add an edge. Shift right click, insert edge loop tool. Let's put one right there in the center, and one over here in this hole in the center. Alright, back to object mode. Let's do this again. I'll select this edge loop inside that hole, and inside this one. Alright, let's go to the UV texture editor. Polygons, cut UV edges. I'm going to right click UV, select the point, control, right click to shell. Let's move that out of the way. Alright, I'm just going to put this to the side. Now I think I'm getting sick, so if I start sounding all clogged up, that's why. So let's bring back our other stuff. Object mode, I'm going to select the DVD. Show, isolate, view selected. Same thing. Press F to frame in on it. I'm going to line it up with the camera the best I can. Create UVs, planar mapping, it should still be on camera. Let's go to F10 to select edges. I'm going to select edge loop there. Let's go inside this circle. Select that edge loop. Go back inside our UV texture editor and the same thing we did before. Polygons, cut UV edges. Right click, UV, click on a point, control, right click to shell. And it looks like we've got the front UV selected, so I'm going to move this to the left. Alright, let's bring everything back. Object mode, DVD, and the sleeve. So we see all the UVs. Right click, UV. Maybe pull that a little bit further apart. Alright, select everything. And let's just fit those inside this upper right quadrant. Alright, there we go. Make sure we're in object mode. Polygons, UV snapshot. Let's call this DVD UVs. 1024 by 1024 PNG file. Click OK. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and save this. Let's go and delete history on everything. Edit, delete by type, history. Alright, everything should still work. Alright, it is. I'm going to save this file, save scene as. This is going to be DVD drawer underscore 13. Alright, we need some textures now. The label we'll create in GIMP. We need kind of a grid texture for the back of our sleeve, so let's create that. I'm going to select everything, add it to our layer over here, add selected objects, turn the visibility off. Let's create a polygon plane. Just going to scale this up. Let's go into the Windows rendering editors, Hypershade. Let's create a Lambert, right click, rename it. Shader underscore bulge. Because we're going to use this bulge 2D texture over here. So I'm going to click on this bulge. I'm going to middle mouse drag the bulge onto the shader node and select color. I'm going to double click the bulge, or actually the 2D texture placement node for now. And let's repeat the UVs, because right now we want a really dense mesh. So let's just bump this up to 50. Actually more than that. Actually, let's go ahead and do maybe even 150. Maybe not quite. Let's try 100. I don't know, 125. All right. It's freaking out on us right there, but okay, that's probably pretty good. That's probably too much. Let's just do 100. All right, we'll stick with 100. I'm going to middle mouse drag the shader node onto the file or the plane. All right. And as far as these holes are probably too big. I want these holes to be smaller. So you can see those. That's probably too close. There we go. That's what it looks like. I'm going to select this bulge node, and I'm going to make the dots smaller. So I'm going to move the U and V width. Let's just move these to the right. See how those getting smaller now in our preview here. So that looks better. All right, close this out. Let's go to a top view. Press 6 so we can see our texture. All right, we're going to render this out. So let's look at our render settings and make this a square texture. The dinosaurs are almost completely clogged right now. All right, 1K square texture I'm selecting. Software render, I'm going to change it to highest quality. Close. View, camera settings, resolution gate. Just going to scale that up until it kind of fits in there. Doesn't have to be exact. And then let's see, I'm going to select the plane. Attribute editor, far right is the shader node. And ambient color, I'm going to move that all the way up so it's nice and bright. Or at least the white, because since it's a black and white texture, I want the white to be really bright. So I'm just moving that all the way up for the ambient color. And let's do a render. All right, there's our texture. It looks like there's a checkerboard pattern in there too, but that's okay. It'll still work for our purposes. Files, save image. Let's see. Yeah, we can just leave it in our images because we're not going to use this as a texture. We're just going to use this to create a texture. So I'll just go ahead and leave it in this images folder because that's where our GIMP files are as well. So let's change this to PNG and let's save this as bulge texture. Save. Okay, we don't need that anymore. We don't need this grid anymore because, like I said, that was just for the purposes of creating that texture. And let's go ahead and do another save. I'm going to minimize, go into GIMP, File, Open. Here's our project folder. There's our images subfolder and DVD UVs right there. So open. Let's change the name of that layer to UVs. To add a background layer, let's call it background. I'm going to use the foreground color since it's black. I'm going to select that layer and then click this button down here at the bottom with the down arrow to move it down underneath our UV layer. That way we can see our UVs nice and good. Alright, let's bring in the bulge texture. File, open as layers. There's our bulge texture. Alright, I'll make sure that layer is selected. And then up here is a scale tool. I'm going to click the scale tool. And then I'm going to click on the texture, the view panel here. And this little dialog box appears. I want to make sure that this chain link right here is closed. So I'm going to click it, and now it's closed. And so I can grab this corner up here, and it keeps our texture square and not getting stretched out. And I'm just adjusting it until this left edge is right down the center between those two sleeve UVs, the front and the back. So maybe something about that. And I'm just going to grab the center and just drag it up. Alright, so that should work right there. And then I'm going to click on scale. Alright, so that's good. It covers all of the UVs for the back of our sleeve. Alright, now I'm going to invert this. So I'm going to select that layer, colors, invert. Okay, now this layer is pretty small, so I'm going to make it the same size as our image. So let's go to image, and let's see. Let me right click on it. There we go. Layer to image size. Alright, so now you can see the dotted line covers the whole image now for that layer. Next, let's, since this is going to be our color texture, our color file, let's go ahead and do the CD label. I'm going to create a new layer and call this CD text or DVD text. I'll just say it's the same thing. I'm going to make sure it's set on transparency for the layer type. Alright, make sure that layer is selected. Click on the text tool up here. Let's change it to a bold font. And the color, we can put whatever. Let's make it green. Since Fresh Maya, we kind of go with a green color. Alright, let's make the font bigger. Let's try 36. And let's just click on here and see what we get. All I did was just clicked on there, and now I'm going to type in Fresh. We'll do it all caps. Like the title or something. Alright, I'm going to click on the Move tool. And I'm just going to click on one of those letters and just resituate this. Alright, I'm going to click on the text tool again. And this time, let's maybe an 18 font. Change the color to white. Let's click in there and let's type in DVD drawer tutorial. Alright, I thought I changed the size, but not. Okay, 18 is probably a little small, maybe 22. There we go. Alright, I'm going to zoom in, so I'm going to press and hold down the control button, and then just scroll my mouse wheel. Alright, now I can use the Move tool, grab these letters, and just move it over. Alright, there we go. Kind of scale out a little bit more. Okay, let's give this a little bit of color. So okay, these right here are some floating layers, so let's just merge these down. Merge down. And merge down. Alright, new layer. Let's call this one CD color. Alright, I'm going to use this circle select tool. Make sure the mode is set to the first button up here. And then I'm going to click on expand from center and fixed. I'm going to click on the center of the CD if I can, or at least try to. Scale outward. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because usually labels only go almost to the edge, but not quite. So maybe something like that. Alright, I'm going to click on the paint bucket tool. Click on this color swatch and change it to maybe a blue color. And I'm just going to click in there. Let's grab that layer and move it down underneath the CD text. There we go. Alright, let's make it a little bit darker so that we can see these letters better, or we can make the letters darker either way. Let's just select this blue, maybe make it a little bit darker. Alright, so now we can see the letters a little better. Let's get rid of the, let's kind of make it where the blue doesn't go all the way to the center. So I'm going to click on the circle again. Alright, use the eraser tool. And then I'm just going to erase. not perfectly on there, but that's okay. If you ever put a label on a CD, it's hard to get it perfect. It's usually off a little bit, so maybe that'll make it a little more realistic. All right, let me zoom out. I'm going to click on the square select tool, and I'm just going to click one time in here just to get rid of that round selection. Okay, so there's our color map. It's done. That's done. That's it. Let's go ahead and save this file. So File, Save As, .xcf, which is the GIMP native file. And actually, I'm going to change call it DVD texture.xcf. Save. Okay, now let's save this as a texture. So I'm going to hide the UV layer here, the far right. I'm going to click, or left, I'm going to click the button with the eyeball on it. File, Save As. I'm going to navigate to the Source Images subfolder, and I'm going to name this DVD color.jpg. I'm going to click on Save, Export, 100% quality, Save. All right, let's, since there's some transparency involved, the front of this, let me pull the UVs back up. The front here is going to be transparent, and this is kind of a mesh that you can see through. So this is transparent, and our CD's got some transparency too. So let's create a transparency map that we can use. Let's start with up here. We can leave this grid because white's going to be no transparency and black's going to be 100% transparency. So by being black, we can see through here. And this front side, we don't want it to be 100% clear like glass or something. We want it to be kind of not really see-through. So let's create a new layer, and I'm going to call this layer sleeve trans for transparency. Click OK. Click the square select tool. Just select this area up here. Make sure it goes completely around our UVs here. I'm going to use the paint bucket tool. Click on the color swatch and change this to, we don't want it white because that's not transparent at all, so maybe 50%, or maybe a little bit closer, a little bit more than 50%, so that way it's maybe about 60% transparent. Click OK, and then we can just click in there with the paint bucket tool. All right, let's move that underneath our UVs, that layer. There we go. All right, next we got our CD. The center of the CD we want to be pretty transparent, almost like glass. So let's see, how do we want to do this? We don't need the text, so I'm going to hide the text layer. And this color, I'm not sure we need that color. Let's see. Actually, we do, because that's going to be our transparency. We want that white. So I'm going to duplicate this color layer. I'm going to select the layer. Down here at the bottom, there's a button for Create Duplicate. I'm just going to click on it. And I'm going to rename this to CD Trans for CD Transparency. I'm going to hide the CD color layer. Okay, this blue, let's go to our paint bucket. Let's change it to, yeah, we'll leave it down here, fill similar colors. And let's change this to white. Just click on the blue area and it should turn all that blue white. Okay, we're not doing it, oh, because we got our square selection up here. So let's click on the square select tool. Let's make sure this goes around our DVD area. Go back to our paint bucket, and now we should be able to color that in. There we go. All right, so that's going to be 0% transparent, and all the black area is going to be 100% transparent. Question is, do I want it to be fully transparent? I want it to be transparent here, but not out here. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and, because this is kind of like a reflectivity. If you look at a disc, a CD or a disc, there's like a, I don't know what you'd call it, but there's like a film in there that's just really highly reflective. So let's go ahead and color the outside of this white as well. Let me use my paintbrush tool to get rid of this line. And this inside part here, it can just stay like it is. It will add a little bit color to it. So let's go to our paint bucket. Maybe about 75%, so it's pretty dark. And let's just color that in. There we go. That should do it. Alright, the back side, well, we also got to do that too because this is the back side of the disc. We want that same area to be transparent. So let's go ahead and select our tool right here. Make a circle, same area. Use our paint bucket and fill that in. And we want all the rest of this to be white. Paint bucket changes back to white color and fill that in. Alright, so there we go. So the only thing that's going to be transparent on the CDs is going to be the center part right there. And that should do it for our transparency. So let's go ahead and hide the UV layer. Let's go to File, Save As, and let's call this DVD trans for transparency.jpg. Save, export, 100%. Let's also do a file, save as. Well, let's just go to our, navigate to the images subfolder, and let's resave it on top of our DVD texture since we added some more layers to it. Save, replace. Alright. We need one more thing.